So I just got done at the gym, and while I was in there, I was just doing some heavy weights and having some good thoughts about some shit that I really wanted to put into video form for you guys. A lot of you are young men who have prematurely entered a boring life. You see movies, you read books, you look at the old world, and the old world really kind of made it feel like your youth was going to be adventurous. And for many of you, that has ended up not being the case. And so the problem with not having an adventurous youth is that when you grow into manhood and you start doing you start participating in activities that most grown men, it will bring them fulfillment. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to bring you resentment. So a man who's well traveled, who's hooked up with a lot of women, who has had crazy wild experiences, a guy who's been arrested a couple times, a guy who has, done drugs on a random island in a foreign country and banged out in a tent, some beautiful woman he's never seen again. Well, that man, he's going to be able to have a family, a career, live a quieter life, and have that bring him lots and lots of fulfillment. Whereas you, if you continue to not live an adventurous life, then you're going to actually resent your wife. You're going to resent your children. You're going to find yourself resenting women before they even become your wife in those later years. And it's you've got to make something happen now, because if you don't, then this longing for adventure that every man feels, every man has that deep within them. If there's a part of you right now that's thinking to yourself that you don't feel that longing for adventure, well, then what's happened is that adventure has become so outside of your scope of reality that you've actually masked that desire. People do this often. People do this, when they hate the rich. Men do this often when it comes to players, to other men who get women. You grow to resent the people that have what you want. And not only that, but also then you grow to actually just resent the thing itself. You see this in the MGTOW community. So the way for you to escape this trap, and do me a favor, guys, this is probably going to go on Facebook, this is probably going to go on YouTube. Do me a favor and just comment down below if you're resonating with this. This is not really one of my typical videos, I would say, but I just really want to start putting out a more wide array of content. Obviously continuing to teach you guys how to date the women that you want. That will always be my primary focus. I think that is one of the most, I think it's one of the fastest, most fulfilling and truest ways for a man to reach his true potential. I truly believe that, but I want to put out more of these types of vids. So comment below if you're vibing with this. So if you're a young man who has no adventure in his life at all, you've got to create it, and you've got to create it today. You've got to do it now. So look, in life, you can take baby steps in many areas. You can start talking to girls by going to the mall. You can start working on a side hustle by ordering a course and slowly but surely figuring things out and whatever. But when it comes to adventure, if you've had no adventure in your life whatsoever, then you have to do something very drastic. And so an example of that would be getting online right now, like right this fucking second, finding Airbnbs that offer a 50% or less refund in a foreign city, in a foreign country. Go somewhere cheap. Go to South America, go to Colombia, go to Costa Rica, go to Brazil, go to somewhere in Europe. Don't go to an English-speaking country. And I know what you're thinking right now, many of you. Oh, yeah, the money is just going to pop out of nowhere. No. Listen, the first time I ever went to New York, I was planning it while I was still a pizza boy. So then I ended up going and working with Justin Wayne. It was like a whole thing of when I finally ended up going. But I'd never been to New York City in my life. I always wanted to go. And I said, I'm sick of this shit. So like 8 months before the trip, because that's what I had to do as a broke pizza delivery boy. 8 months before that trip, I got 1 week of my Airbnb. Then I booked a second week of my Airbnb like a month later. Then I booked like my flight maybe 3-4 months later. So I didn't have the money just to go all in on this, but what I did is I pieced it out. So you can do the same. And then when I went to New York, I mean, fuck, man, it was the most insane couple weeks of my life. I'd never seen that before. I mean, if you've ever been to New York, you know what I'm talking about. It's just so insane. I banged 4 chicks while I was there in a matter of, it wasn't quite 2 weeks, it was more 12 days. I banged out 4 different girls, all from day game. 2 of them was multiple times, and then one of those ones was like a bunch of different times. Crazy, amazing life adventure. So these are the types of adventures that you need to be having in your life, because at the end of the day, all that's really going to remain is our memories. I mean, what, dude? I go buy a new Tesla or some shit. Woo! Yeah. It's like, man, when dude, fuck when I'm 80, fuck my deathbed. I'm 31 right now. And I look back at like my college days and my high school days and this shit. And I'm like, thank God I was doing crazy shit. I had a dark few years there. I look at game, let's look at when I first started really sobering up, getting into game and shit, 22. I'm like, bro, thank God Aaron at age 22, like, lived an adventurous life. I look back, I think of all these girls and clubs and cities and like crazy fucking, I'm like sleeping on concrete, using my shoe as a pillow up on an island in Lake Erie. And that's the kind of shit that makes you a well-rounded man. That's the kind of shit that when you get on a podcast one day, you end up at a dinner party, you go on a date, you meet people, you've got stories to tell other people. You've got stories to tell your son and your grandson. You've got stories for you to look at in your life and say, man, I fucking lived, dude. I fucking lived. And I promise you guys, again, you young men out there that are not living a life of adventure, something's got to give. You got to make something happen now. Plan a crazy, not expensive. Again, bro, going to like Las Vegas or some shit is way more expensive than going to like Colombia, South America or some shit. You don't have to do something that's expensive. And I'm telling you, piece this shit out and plan out this epic solo vacation where you got to go to another country, maybe where you got to even learn the language before you go, to the best that you can. And you get there and you just got to survive, and you go find new restaurants. You don't know how to order the food, and you're trying to talk to the girls over there on Tinder and real life. I mean, just these things, they spark up the neurons in your brain. They tell old people who are suffering from dementia symptoms, they tell them, hey, start driving home a different route every day, so that way you can kind of like refire up the brain. Go on a crazy motherfucking vacation, dude. That's gonna refire up the brain. So that's about it for you guys. I'm going to keep this under 10 minutes. I got boot camps coming up. You can head over to evolutiondaily.com/coaching. I think that would be a phenomenal adventure for you to take as a man, would be doing a boot camp with me. evolutiondaily.com/coaching. Peace.